I was interested in you moving to New York because I have not lived in you. I've traveled fair amount for my age, but I've never like just up and packed my bags and gone somewhere. And it's definitely something that I will be doing within sooner or later. And I say sooner as in like it could be sooner, or later as in within 5 years. Like it's something that I want to try because
Hmm.
I don't have a ball and chain. I have stuff, but I don't have kids, wife, like anything really tiny here, an ill family member.
Right.
So I got to try it. So you got to go and do that. And whenever I see somebody that did that for whatever reason or lived in the army, I like kind of envy them because I want to experience a different world in air quotes.
I would do it again with better circumstances around it.
Like better
Because
financially or
I moved up there for a girl.
yes.
I was very young. I was like, I think 20, maybe just from 21, something like that. Very dumb kid. Um, no money, no plans. I
Yeah.
worked at like a fucking grocery store for a while when I was up there. I would do it again if I had the financial backing to make sure I could stay afloat,
Yeah.
and if it was a place that I knew I really enjoyed.
Okay. Like
Like
savings
living
or, a job that shipped you there or something.
for sure, like a
Yeah.
job that shipped me there, or enough savings, or a job where I can work from home
Hmm.
to make my living how I choose to,
A lot of
as
people
well as
encourage that too, like to just go somewhere else because then you can really like find out who you are or something. Like you can be the person you want to be in an area where nobody knows who you are, sort of.
hmm like I stayed in Salt Lake City around this time last year with again with another girlfriend of mine, um, and it was beautiful there, and I loved it.
How come
Just
you left?
very. So I was helping her move back down to Florida. I wasn't staying there. I was visiting
Mm,
her out. She was moving down to Florida. I moved up there to help her as we drove with her stuff back down from Salt Lake City.
I think I remember you talking
Um,
about this too on
yeah, it was
stream or
right before.
something.
It was right before we started doing re-roll. So I
Yeah.
think you and I were still planning the podcast at first.
Yeah. That's why it kind of, tickles my memory.
And it was beautiful there, and I think that I would probably enjoy it there. But also, it's super conservative, and I'm very much not a conservative person, so I don't think I could ever live there. But it's pretty, and going back to Long Island, I probably couldn't live in that same area because it was very boring to me. It was
Okay.
nice, it was cute, but like there was never a whole lot going on versus me living in Orlando where I can go to so many different places and go do cool new things. I'd probably move to New York City. I've been there enough times where I know that I'd always be entertained, but it's also stupid expensive to live there, and I can't afford to live there. So maybe if I ever make it rich and big, I'll move to New York
Sometimes the
City and live
wage
there.
is inflated for that exact reason. Just like California, like some jobs that are normally like 40,000 to 60,000 in most places are 115 in California,
Right,
but their
because
rent,
the cost of living is different.
yes. So like their Amazon people make 30 an hour, or whatever. I
Yeah,
don't know what the real translation is, but I've seen that that adjusts sometimes.
yeah, for sure. I don't know. I would do it again, just with much more planning behind it than right now.
I think everybody should if they don't have a ball and chain. I before
All
I
I have is a
forget,
cat.
the ain't really a ball and chain. That's more like a, I don't know what it
He'll
is,
come with
but
me. He doesn't know any better.
so you mentioned that it's extra conservative there, and I thought about one of the things I noticed during our electoral postings for 2020, that when you start seeing like which cities and who's flipping and all that stuff, just because it's a very controversial election, and so Oklahoma City, there is not a lick of blue in any of their electoral. For those that'll watch the VOD, I don't know if it'll actually pick it up yet because I only have it capturing Discord. But yeah, literally, you can go and find the result, and there's literally not a lick, not even in Oklahoma, nothing. So they're like insanely conservative. And one of my good friends lives there, and he says, yeah, it's crazy, especially like a lot of the Q stuff and all that, like toxic MAGA, like
Hmm.
really toxic racism, like the kind of stuff that like people usually have bottled, like they just don't care down there. It's really bad, and that's like unusual for large cities. They generally always leave liberal. So it was like, dude, you live in an entirely conservative area. That's like wild. There's not a single other state. There's not even one state can pull off a full blue. It's just Oklahoma owns red.
I just thought it was super jarring because, again, like I said, I come from Orlando. Orlando's very liberal. Sure, the old white people here definitely have some sticks up their asses about certain things, but it's very liberal here. People are very open. There's a lot of things going on. LGBTQ rights are a thing. There's
Nice.
some titty bars. They're 2 hours away in Tampa. There's a casino where I can go gamble my life savings away. There's a lot of things going on here. A lot of very liberal things. And then going to Salt Lake City, where, like, I don't know, 30% of the city is owned by the Mormon Church, and everyone's got guns in their cars, and they're just chilling. And there's only one bar in the entire vicinity of where I was. Like, that's baffling to me.
Wow, I didn't think conservative would have anything to do with. I mean, I know Christians and most religions alike kind of can lean conservative, but the one bar is probably like it might just be a dry
Yeah.
region because, like, I would think
So
that would be something that would be like a what's something that'd be a symptom of something in the Bible Belt. I think like if Christian
it is.
how
So
is it
it's
considered
because
it?
of how Mormon Salt Lake City is, because the Mormon Church is based out
Oh,
of there,
okay,
and you can't drink when you're a Mormon.
that's why.
So there's like one bar in the entire area. Now there are soda pop bars where you can go and get your favorite soda pop flavors mixed together,
Now, did
which sounds
restaurants
really
have
cute.
alcoholic beverages though? Like if we went to a
No,
Fridays, they didn't have alcohol.
no,
Whoa, okay, that's crazy. Wow.
it
I
was
bet that one bar is just
no,
mopping up.
it was like a hole in the wall, dingy little dive bar that we drove by, and I was like, that's the only bar I've seen so far in like the 3 days I was there. And my girlfriend at the time was like, yeah, that's like the one bar we have here, and I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, like we don't drink
Yikes.
here. Like there were a couple liquor stores I think I saw, but they were like very far and few between. Where like I can go to Walgreens across the street and go buy a bunch of booze if I wanted to right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's weird because, like, I don't think conservative or liberal really, I didn't think they had any type of take on either direction about alcoholism or non alcoholism. But I guess it's probably the Morbin or religious based side a little bit more.
It for sure is, and I'm very much not part of the demographic. I am nor religious nor conservative.
Mm-hmm.
So like living there would be beautiful. I would not. I would stick out like a sore thumb every time I'd be there.
I mean, I don't think you have to, like, put your politics into your identity, though. Like, if you're there, like, you're not
No,
walking
for sure
around.
not.
So I don't know. That's its own
But like
conversation.
some of the things that I believe in, like you and I talked earlier before we started recording about like smoking CBD. Like I think marijuana should be legalized. Fuck it, why not? It's not
Yeah.
hurting anyone. That's
Mm-hmm.
not going to happen in Utah for a long time. All
Mm-hmm.
right,
They're probably
so
going to
like that's
be.
that's one of those things.
I guess that's actually not. I mean, because they have no alcohol there, you're probably right. But I think in places where it might be more conservative, like let's say like Texas or so, like there's probably some. I think Colorado is very liberal. I think or Oregon is also very liberal. But
Hmm.
some conservative states can definitely abide to it because of like tax policy and just revenue in general.
Sure.
Like PA is pretty swing statey, but I guess I would have to say that it's probably more liberal because of Philly and Pittsburgh, but like there's a lot
Hmm.
of rural area in PA, so I think that's what makes it a swing state. But like so I don't want to classify us as a conservative state, but like medicinal marijuana didn't take very long to come here, so I think. But
We're still waiting on it here in Florida.
people have said that all Commonwealth are generally very greedy states, and so maybe that had something to do with it. Like, dude, our state didn't have alcohol in gas stations until 3 years ago. And I
Yeah, I
don't
believe
know
it.
if that's normal in other places, but all the places around me that have ever been, West Virginia, New York, Ohio, like did you go throw up 20 in your tank and be like, yeah, I'm gonna grab a 40 ounce, like that's normal. Whereas here to get around it, they had to start like gas was like put outside transactions in like a little hub or something so that you could classify your gas station as a cafe and then you had to buy the gas right next to it, and that was how they got away with it. And then I don't know, maybe they were like, okay, well they're getting away with it, so let's just put it everywhere, and so then a lot of our more common ones didn't have to do this weird exploit, if you will. They finally decided whatever, like it's not a big deal, we're making more money.
I remember I was in Alabama because I have family in Alabama. It was my grandmother's 75th birthday, and we went to Walmart. It was me, one of my cousins, her boyfriend, and my other cousin's boyfriend. and we rolled to Walmart to go get like snacks or something like that. They had a big old floor display full of like Coors Light or some shit like that. And one of their cousins was like, "Oh, let's grab some beers for everyone on their way back. Like, I can go for a beer." And my cousin who lives there was like, "No, you can't buy that." We both looked and we're like, "Why not? Like, if they want a beer, they can get a beer." And she's like, "No, it's Sunday. You can't buy alcohol on Sundays in our county."
Mm,
And like my brain stopped working for a second. And I was like, "What?"
yeah,
And
that's
she's
the
like, "Yeah,
thing.
we're a dry state. You can't buy alcohol on certain days." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I
It
have
made no
seen
sense to
that.
me.
In PA, they were weird about that too. Like you couldn't buy alcohol up to a certain point, and they recently like pushed it back. Like I think it's like it was like noon to 5. Don't quote me on it, but there's some weird thing like that. Like on Sundays, you can't buy alcohol or something.
It's just so bizarre. And again, another regional difference when I lived in New York was that here in Florida, if I go up until recent events, I could go to Walmart and go buy a gun today, right now,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a whole section for it in the outdoor section. In
Yeah.
New York, where I lived, completely gone. And when I first went to Walmart in New York, I was like, huh, there's no gun section, there's Walmart. And my then girlfriend at that time, who'd always lived in New York, was like, we need a gun section. And I was like, yeah, they're in all the Walmarts, aren't they? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh,
Yeah.
that's
Ours
weird.
does. All of them do.
Not anymore, because now they've gotten rid of, at least a lot of them have, and they're much more
Sort of.
stricter
Yeah.
about them.
So
Yeah, they're
like
more
even the
strict
more
about
inner
them.
city ones, like the one that's the most in city, still has a hunting section, and like
Hmm.
except the difference is like some of them I've seen they have the ammo and guns behind the counter, whereas this one it's a hallway like shelving, and then they just
Yeah,
have them behind lock and key, and then like all the hunting calibers like shotgun and stuff, like all that stuff's out in the open, but they removed all common calibers associated with I think like mass shootings and stuff. So there's like no
yeah,
pistol
for
cartridges.
sure.
There's no 5.56. There's only awkward hunting calibers like 270 and 308, but like nothing like no pistol whatsoever, no rifle.
Yeah,
Yeah, no semi-auto rifle stuff. And yeah, I thought that was interesting because we're pretty swingy, but I think that was just Walmart policy. That isn't even state related. They
it
just
was
decided
Walmart policy.
they decided to like sign on to that.